Alright, today I'm reviewing the Solar AB1.6FR Desert Rose, a very cool looking guitar that achieves this look with actual burns on the body. I've had this guitar for a little bit and I've used it in a song my Clorinde's theme cover. So I've had some time using this, but I'm going to give you a full mix demo, I'm going to give you some sound samples, and I'm going to tell you what I think about the guitar. Before I jump in, I gotta say I'm not sponsored by any of the brands shown in this video. I'm also not a guitar virtuoso or anything like that. I'm doing the casual online music thing. I'm just some guy on the internet who, as you can see, clearly likes guitars. I make YouTube videos, I put music on streaming services, things like that. So let's jump right in. Let me tell you what my first impressions of this guitar were. So when I got it out of the box first, of course I saw it and wow, this thing looks incredible. It looks really cool from the roasted neck to the burnt body. And then you turn it around to the back and you still have all this too, really cool. Of course, through the process of achieving this look, the body becomes textured and it was a little more rough at first. I've used it some so it's smoothed down a bit where I have been playing it. But it definitely has a kind of roughness to it, especially if you go somehow against the grain. Like in the playing position, it's pretty much fine. Although the burnt areas are higher above than the non-burned areas, if that makes sense. So if you put your forearm against it, it will leave an impression. It's not so bad that it's unusable. It's slightly less than mild, just annoyance. It's just there. You do forget about it when you're really getting into your playing. It's only every once in a while when you stop and take a break, you're like, oh hey, yeah, no, this is kind of rough. It's definitely not a flat, smooth surface. So then when I took it out of the box and started playing it, I was pretty surprised that it was actually in tune. It doesn't have the Evertune, it has the Floyd 1000. So I was expecting it to be a little out of tune, but maybe the stars aligned that day. Maybe I was just super lucky, but it was in tune in E standard. I went ahead and I set it up. I'm using 10 to 46 with the 46 as a 52, and I put it in drop C. And I also blocked the bridge too. So I can't really give you any insights into how good the Floyd 1000 actually is. But in playing it after it was blocked, it was rock solid. Another interesting thing is because it has this kind of texture, and you can see on the bottom here, it also has the texture. It stays in your lap super well when you're sitting with it like this in the standard playing position, because it does kind of grab onto the fabric of your pants. And then through playing it, I noticed the three-way switch is really satisfying to use, but the potentiometers are the loosest. Where are they? Here they are. The potentiometers are loosest they've been on any of the 6-string solars or any of the solars that I've had. So that is a little disappointing. The tone knob is a push-pull to split. We'll talk about that later. But right now, let's talk about the playability of this guitar. And let's start with the neck of this thing. Now the neck has the perfect amount of finish on it. It has that kind of finish, you know, where they have the maple neck and they apply that finish to make it feel like it's been played for a while. This is the perfect amount, both on the back of the neck and on the fretboard. It's the perfect mixture of smoothness and that maple feel. I can also say the fretboard edges, they're not super rounded, they're just rounded slightly a little bit, and that's really nice. And I say that because in contrast with the S1.6 that I got, I really like that guitar too. It plays really nicely, but the binding on that neck, the binding on the fretboard of that was just completely unrounded. It was completely square, like 90-degree angles. So this is a welcome difference. Of course, the stainless steel frets feel as advertised, nice and smooth. No catching, no roughness at all. Personally, I'm a fan. I can understand why some people would prefer the classic nickel silver. Just my personal preference, I do like the smoothness and durability of the stainless steel frets. You know, these guitars are just tools to make music, and it's important to find the right tool for you. And the right tool for you might be different than the right tool for someone else. Now the neck profile, how's the neck profile on this thing? I'd say it's the perfect compromise between thick and thin. It's really comfortable to play. It's very, I'd say versatile, because you can get the thumb behind the neck and play all shreddy and it feels fine, but there's enough to it where you can do the thumb around the neck bends, or if you want to do the Hendrix thumb thing, you can do that. Now, of course, the upper fret access is perfect. It's without flaw. You can see right here where my ring finger is. I'm actually going past the 24th fret. It's that good. These front cutaways leave absolutely no wood to be in your way. And the back is reminiscent of the Ibanez all-access neck joint. It doesn't get in your way at all. It's pretty nice. So no complaints there whatsoever. If you need to get up to the 24th fret, you absolutely can. And then finally, the bridge. It feels like a Floyd would feel. It's the 1000 model. So it's, I don't know, I didn't really want to take a chance with the 1000 series. I prefer double locking bridges that are blocked anyway. I like just the stability and peace of mind of locking at the bridge, locking at the nut, and having the bridge blocked. One difference I do notice in this from an original Floyd Rose is that the fine tuners seem a bit stiffer to use, to operate, but they're not awful. They're okay. And the bridge against the picking hand, it feels pretty much like you would expect a Floyd kind of bridge to feel, so no complaints there. All right, so let's talk about how this guitar sounds, and let's start with my favorite pickup, the bridge pickup. Now, this pickup sounds pretty good. It's very usable in the mixes I've used it in so far. I do prefer the kind of metal stuff. My roots are in the mid-2000s metalcore kind of dealio, hence I'm in drop C in almost all my guitars. It's great. But I noticed that if you raise the pickup closer to the strings, it does sound a bit more aggressive. And that can be really useful if you are trying to get a more aggressive metal tone. If you back it off a bit, it's more well-rounded, it's more even. So I'm actually gonna keep the bridge pickup. I'm pretty satisfied with it. Now the rails pickup right here, it's all right. It sounds kind of like a single coil. It's not fully a single coil, obviously, but it's mostly kind of sounding like that. It's not fully a single coil, but it kind of mostly sounds like that. It has the kind of magnetic field shape. It's nice and thin like a single coil. It doesn't fully sound like a single coil. And if you're playing with high gain, you will notice a difference between this and, say, a neck humbucker. But if the gain is high enough, it won't really matter that much. If you have lower gain, you'll start to hear the difference. So it's all right. My personal preferences, I do prefer a humbucker in the neck position, and all my clean tone presets or whatever uses the neck pickup, all my presets for that is with a humbucker in mind for the most part. But if you're looking for something that doesn't sound exactly like a humbucker, then this will be pretty nice for your uses. It's also kind of a nice bonus that it shows off more of the wood in the middle too. Now the coil split, you can engage by pulling out the tone knob like that, and it sounds like you'd expect it to sound. Of course, with ultra high gain, you won't really notice a difference, but for everything else, you will hear, okay, this does sound more like a single coil, and it works like you would expect it to. It would buzz with the high gain. It has that single coil kind of sound, and I did notice the neck, the rails, it sounds even more like a single coil when you do split the coils. So what are my overall thoughts on this guitar? Well, of course it looks amazing. It looks absolutely cool, especially under the light here. I would want to use this if I was playing live or if I was streaming or something like that and I wanted to really make an impression. I would pick up this guitar. And it has the playability pretty much to match it. Like, of course, it's not an amazing made in Japan, super J custom prestige kind of guitar, but it is pretty high quality, I'd say. It is pretty decent. Of course, the texture has smoothed out some as I've played it. It's not rough and biting into my skin a little bit like it was at first. It's never fully gonna feel as comfortable as something that has a more flat surface, if you know what I mean, like no textures, no bumps, no ridges. So this does leave an impression into your forearm if you're not wearing a sleeve. So I'm not quite sure I'd want to practice or rehearse with it. And not just because I don't want to ruin how cool this guitar looks, but I think over a long period of time, if I was playing all day for a few days, this would definitely not be my jam. I would be pretty much sick of this texture. But if I was just playing shows or if I was doing a video, it would be okay. Doing a recording session with it for a few days was getting pretty annoying. Towards the end of it, I kind of wish I picked something different. But I did get through it and I am satisfied with the results. You can hear my Clorinde's theme on all streaming services, by the way, shameless plug. I use this for all the lead guitars. And in doing so, I really just fell in love with how this bridge pickup sounds. Even though it's the typical Solar pickup, the Solar Duncan pickup, this, without an Evertune, it just sounds just a little bit better. I think someone listening in the audience or whatever wouldn't really notice the difference if I was playing this for a full set or if I was playing a guitar with an Evertune for a full set. But if you own both and you switch between the two and you play both of them a bunch, you will notice that the one with the Evertune is slightly missing something just a little bit. This has that just extra pizzazz, and I'm not exactly sure for the physics why. I think the Evertune equipped guitar would be able to fit better in a mix with a lot of guitars. But I think the tone you pick, like either your amp settings or your plug-in presets or whatever, the pedals you use and the settings on those are going to matter much more than if your guitar has the Floyd Rose or the Evertune, at least to the audience members anyway, because they're just going to hear electric guitar. And on the topic of changing presets, for this rails, just personally, in my opinion, I would want to change my clean tones and stuff like that for everything that needed a neck pickup that I had in mind, because this does sound a little different than what I typically prefer and like, but that's just my personal preference on neck pickups. And of course, I can't really speak to how stable the Floyd 1000 is over usage over time because I have blocked it, but as a blocked trem it is just fine. So would I recommend this guitar? Well, if you don't mind the texture and you like the look, you like the Solar guitar sound, the Solar neck profile and all that, I would say absolutely. It's a very cool guitar. It's plenty playable. It's been rock solid so far. Definitely go for it. Of course, if you don't like the textured body, then definitely don't go for it. And then the neck pickup, if you feel strongly about humbuckers versus rails or anything like that, keep that in mind. You definitely don't want to be routing out this guitar. That would be a crime. The guitar does have a lot of good features. The roasted maple neck, the stainless steel frets, the coil split is pretty cool too, the fret access. Basically, it's a pretty awesome modern super strat. And so there you have it. This has been a review on the Solar AB1.6FR Desert Rose. Do you have any other questions? Do you have any thoughts? Did I leave something out that you want to know? Be sure to comment down below in the comment section. You know, this is YouTube, so I have to say the YouTube things, okay? Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, print out every frame and mail it. And as always, peace.